Hey everybody, AJ here for the Mighty Glue Stick channel, mostly monsters, occasionally DM tips, and I think it's time to talk about what you probably heard me consulting in the last video about Gem Dragons. As you know, there is no official 5th edition listings for Gem Dragons, so I had to work them out by ordering them using challenge ratings. So today I'm going to talk to you and show you about how to use challenge ratings like a boss. So you may have heard the term bounded accuracy in discussions about 5th edition, and I talked about it when we were using the playtest rules and how excited I was about it long ago. Which it means, what it means is that the gameplay is a bit more realistic and that creatures rarely have an armor class over 20. Player characters are easily the most agile and armored creatures in the D&D world. However, creatures have some pretty good hit bonuses as well. So in combat, there are a lot more hits from both sides than misses, and the damage that the monsters do is based on their stats, which is the same as the player characters. However, this is strictly limited bonus for level progression in both instances, and this is the proficiency bonus. Monsters also have a proficiency bonus that is applied to their checks. Usually this is factored into the listings for us already, so we have a kind of forget about it. Because of this simple set of factors, the game doesn't have a lot of power creep and things can be easily worked out. In the case of the mob rules I've discussed earlier, some complicated group combat situations can be pretty much sorted out with a minimum of dice rolling and number crunching at the table, so the focus remains on describing their actions in a narrative and not a mechanical way. In the descriptive doobly-doo below the video, I've included a link to the challenge rating table I use. This is something well worth printing out and pasting into the inside of cover of your monster manual, because it allows you to have the baseline stats on hand for when you need to reconfigure a monster on the fly during the game, or when you're planning the game sessions and want to use a cool monster appropriate for the story, but the stats for it are not right for the current level of the characters. Have you come across that's a problem? That's definitely a problem, so that's something we can solve today. The main factors that determine how difficult a single creature is are the armor class, the hit point total, the bonus it has to hit with attacks, how damaging those attacks are, and how difficult it is to save versus its special powers, spells and such. When you alter the challenge rating of a creature, those are the things you are changing. The nature of its special traits and powers, its habits and such remain the same. To demonstrate how easy this is, let's convert a monster right now. Then we'll make a themed monster and finally a brand new monster. I open the monster manual to a random page and I get a Githzerai monk. Oh, interesting. So the challenge rating of this opponent is 2, but I want to beef it up to 6 because the monk is going to be going toe-to-toe with a bunch of level 5 player characters, and I want this to be an interesting fight where the monster gets to use some of those cool abilities, at least for 1 or 2 rounds. So if we look at the chart for challenge ratings, we see a CR2 monster should have an armor class of 13, and the monk has an armor class of 14. The monk is very agile, this makes sense. Hit points should be between 86 and 100 maximum. The monk has a maximum of 63 hit points. That's very low. About the same as a creature which is half a CR, which indicates to me that this is not a creature, well, it's either a creature that's not intended to be encountered on its own, or it's got a trick up its sleeve, which it most certainly does have. When wearing no armor or shield, it adds its wisdom modifier to its armor class. Does this mean the armor class should be read as 16 instead? No, I'm going to assume no, since it's already high for a CR2. Now the monk has additional powers, psychic in nature, but represented as spell effects. The monk can use a certain number of times per day. This makes it quite a different, well, for its overall combat abilities, it's pretty good, like using alchemical devices from 30 feet away, for instance. It's got this mage hand. The psychic hand is invisible, and it can apply up to 10 pounds or 4.5 kilograms of force, but can't activate magic items or directly attack. It can indirectly attack, though, and the Githzerai experts in martial arts. In short, this is a telekinetic effect similar to the Jedi's in Star Wars. But anyway, it makes the monk a more dangerous opponent, and combined with Featherfall, Jump, See Invisible, and Shield, all usable 3 times a day, a monk could be quite nasty to a bunch of lower-level characters. They have lower than normal hit points, so when the characters do get to land some damage on them, it ends the fight quickly, and it's important, and I'll tell you why. What really makes the low hit points make perfect sense, though, is the hand-to-hand attack of the monk. It's devastating. The usual for a CR2 opponent is an attack bonus of +3 and damage of 15 to 20 points, or an average of 17.5 points per round. The monk is +4 to hit and does 1d8 +2, or 3 to 10 points of damage, bludgeoning, plus 2d8, which is 2 to 16 psychic damage. That's from 5 to 26 points of damage, and it can attack twice every round. That is 10 to 52 points of if attacking just one character, enough to kill them at level 2. That is the average damage output of a CR7 opponent. So now let's level this monk up. We want to be a challenge rating of 6, and we're sticking to the same rationale as the CR2 monk. So they have a +1 armor bonus to their armor class, making an AC of 16. They have lower than normal hit points, so 2 steps down from on the CR chart. So instead of being 146 to 160, they'll have 116 to 130, equal to a CR4 creature. And even on the low side of that, so let's stick to 116. Compared to the Githrai Knight or Zerth, this is still pretty high, but fitting for a tough as nails monk. Looking at other high CR Githrai, it's reasonable to say that the monk also has the ability to plane shift once per day. That's in line with their abilities, but their other abilities stay the same. Now, the physical attack, +7 to hit, and do we stick to 2 attacks per round but increase the damage, or instead keep the damage the same but allow the monk to attack 3 times per round, and the damage output should be similar to a CR12 creature? That's 75 to 80 hit points per round. Divided 80 by 3, and what do we get? Rounded down, it's 26, equal to the single attack of a CR2 monk. Okay, perfect. So a CR6 monk can attack once more every round, and that's it, all done for the mechanics. That's simple. At higher levels, the player characters probably have some additional mobility and magic items to bring to the fight, so that's fine. They worked hard for those benefits, and hey, the false sense of security makes them rush into close combat with the monk. In the first round of combat, the monk is going to beat 7 shades of shit out of them before it falls in a few hard counterattacks, and the players will learn it is best to pick Githrai off from a distance. On to the second task. We want to turn a random creature into a thematic creature. Shall we say I want to turn a monster into an aberration version? What page do I flip to? Pegasus! Wow, okay, 2 creatures I've not talked about before. Nice one. What do we do? Well, obviously I'm going to look at the listing for an aberration of a similar CR to a Pegasus, which has a CR of 2 again. Okay, so a Nothic has a CR of 2. What can I see right away? That is, the Nothic is smaller, it's a bit harder to hit, more of a hit and fade creature, while the Pegasus is geared up to charge in and wallop with a single hoof attack, then swoop away out of harm's way. Nothing says aberration to an attack that more than an attack that's corrupting, corrosive, and creepy, with a psychic taste to it. So with the Pegasus, let's give it the ability to teleport up to 60 feet and land a nasty attack, then teleport a short distance, say 30 feet, to be adjacent to another opponent, who then has disadvantage on their next attack. The hoof strike of the Pegasus can take the form of a tentacle that lashes out and snares the target, who needs to make a dexterity saving throw, DC 13 for a CR2 creature, or become entangled for 1 round, and the aberration Pegasus gains advantage on any attack against an entangled victim. Perhaps the character the beast teleports next to has, at the end of its attack, also gets a save. Wisdom saving throw, DC 13, or they get disadvantage on their next attack. Also, it goes without saying that the creature is going to look horrible, and the tentacle attack is going to involve a lot of fanged maws, eyeballs, tearing flesh, and sprays of unholy fluids. That is suitably weird for an aberration Pegasus, I think. Not really any reason to alter its attack stats or AC or hit points, just give it a weird ability that plays in on what it does already. So, okay. Last one. We're going to make an entirely new creature, and for this I'm going to roll on some secret tables. Patreon subscribers are going to be privy to the link to these, part of something I worked on a long time ago, and part of a project I'm working on now, actually. So, my results are a amorphic, strong mandibles like an insect, herbivore that eats intermittently and freeze when encountered or flee if attacked, and it's large, just over 11 feet. Wow, okay, so what the hell is this thing? Sounds to me like this is not that dangerous unless disturbed, so why would some adventurers want to bother it? Because it's something that the characters want to... It's got something the characters want, or it's just a pest. It's amorphous, So it may be able to get into places, say food storage buildings. Anyway, we just want to give it some basic stats, so we need to give it a challenge rating. Let's go with 8, randomly rolled on a d20 just to keep me on my toes. It's slow and large, but probably has some natural armor, so armor class 16 sounds right. It should have about 180 hit points, an attack bonus of +7, and a mandible bite attack that does somewhere around 50 points of damage. This seems a little dull, so let's make it a combination of piercing bite and a poison that has the save DC of 16. Now imagine that those stats are like a full tank of fuel. And to give the creature additional traits, we're burning that fuel. And in any increase in one area, we'll see another become lower. And as long as we stick to a vision of what this creature is, it should work out fine. So yeah, those stats are like points that you're spending to buy additional stuff. If any of you have played Heroes Unlimited or the Palladium Systems Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original role-playing game, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's a BioE system. So you're buying... You're lowering some stats. It's a point-buy system. That's basically what I'm doing. So I'm picturing a large land mollusk, like an abalone. It's essentially a slug-like thing with a hard shell, except this slug is made out of tendrils, like a starfish or an octopus with hundreds of thousands of legs, and each is tipped with a hard insect-like shell tip. When it brings those close together to its body, they form a hard shell of many parts locked together. When it moves them away to move or feed, the legs form, or it becomes a rasping maw, and as it moves all of them out of the way, it can take on lots of shapes to fit into tight areas, flatten itself, climb on any surface. That sounds like a pretty cool creature to encounter, or is it just an animal or some major bred monstrosity, or is it a creature from the far realm? Some corrupting aberration with mutagenic toxins staining the ground in its wake. Anyway, you get the idea. Challenge rating is a handy tool for creating, modifying, and safely managing creature encounters in your game. You can choose to ignore it for the most part if you have a lot of experience in the DM seat. You will just have a good feel for the sort of stats that a creature should have to make an encounter a fun challenge. But if you want to master the mechanics, it's really not very hard to manipulate the challenge rating. And a good way to do that is to really look at how monsters in the manual have been made and how they differ from the standard challenge rating models and why. And that's it. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'll be back with another Monster Ecology video or an Explores video very soon. I've included some links in the doobly-doo, and of course Patreon subscribers, check out the link that I provided for you as well. Thanks for listening. Catch you again soon.